Nigeria Chambers, Big O Belt Media. Oh man, we have amazing journalists here at Africa because a lot of my questions and things I really was feeling from this emotion from this film and the emotions I have in this film have been asked. But I definitely want to ask you, Ramel, for possibly the final question today is, you know, throughout this journey in terms of getting this film done collectively, having this ensemble cast and a lot of folks, sharing their testimonies and Aunjanue, who just has just the deepest bucket of experience and all of the projects she's been a part of, even within the last year. And I spoke to her recently, just being a walking vessel of storytelling. I'm just
Mhm.
curious for you, has there been anything that's been near and dear to you as someone's personal testimonies in terms of how they've been impacted by this film as you have really took on the journey of amplifying and uncovering black history and the black experience with this project?
Yeah, I love how do you pronounce your name? Nigeria?
Nigeria. Yes.
Nigeria. Yeah, thanks for that question. It's it's interesting because the film is such a subjective film, and I mean that literally from being from the eyes of Elwood and Turner, but also just in terms of its organization and the way it feels. It feels very fairly unique. Like it elicits a subjective response, and so the responses have been ultimately different for every person. And you could say that about every film, but I think to the degree that it's true for this one is more extreme. I've had everything from a white man say, I've never, like, weeping, like actually weeping, I've never known what it's like to be looked at as a black person before. And I'm like, that's profound. That's not the purpose of the film. Like, I'm not making the film so that people can be in costume, being a cinematic blackface. Like, that's not, and for people who are black to just be black on screen. Like, that's obviously not the case, but that's pretty profound, that a person is able to let themselves go to the extent that they're willing to take the gaze that happens when the guy is poking uh, Elwood in the stomach as them, and then recognize that they've been seen through the world by certain eyes, which is different from being a person in the world. Like, we often think because we can do things other people can too, when in fact every single person here has gotten a different look from other people in the world, and that shapes our reality. I've also had people who have shared deep stories about racism and their experiences in a racial society that the film drew up for them, and I think allowed them to have some sort of reconciliation with the past and the things they've experiences they've had that they've kind of buried. I think the most profound conversations have been with women who are um, mothers to black boys who have said on multiple occasions that the film is a black mother's nightmare. And then I realize, of course, I could make that film because I am a black boy and I can, looking through my eyes, and my mother being able to see the things that I experience and the fears that I have and feeling trapped, by a system that is like reptilian and violent, of course, is the most terrifying thing for a black mother, as has been told to me. I think the most profound response I've gotten, which I shared the other day, which I hadn't thought about, at least to the extent that the same woman who shared that nightmare comment expressed that she recognized that the way in which love within the Black family, the way it's typically expressed, and it's expressed a variety of different ways, but one primary way it's expressed is through, um, Black men and Black women being disciplinarians inside the family, right? You be you be this, you don't do that. Come in early when the street lights. This is who you hang out with. This is bad. This is good. And you get like a hug, and it's always from the outside. But she said in this film, what was most profound for her was Anjanue's gaze, right? And of course, Ethan and Brandon's too, because they're looking at each other with such love. You get to see what it's like to be looked at through the loving eyes of another young black man. But I think specifically Anjanue's, as you know, the mother's love is the core, or the grandmother's love, Black woman's love is the core sort of love planet inside the Black family. She was able to, she thinks that other people who haven't experienced what it looks like to be loved by another Black person, like that direct gaze comes through the screen into the audience. And that was something she felt was relatively revolutionary in terms of expressing what Black love is. It's not something from the outside. It's not something where you say it and you tell it. It's like the way that we look at each other. It's the way that we are intersubjectively connected through our gaze. And that's really profound. It's something I think everyone on set felt because Aunjanue has a presence about her. And it's something I think she's able to, you know, exude to a greater degree when she's in character because she's attempting to do it. It's something that it's called upon by the role of the film. And so that was like really meaningful to me because that's like something you can't predict. Like as a director, as a writer, I'm not like I'm trying to transfer Black love in this way. I know we want it to be POV because we want to have that direct connection, but you know, without the actors, all the ones here, being able to make that adjustment and look at the camera in the way that they would look at their family members, that doesn't happen, you know? And so that was it's pretty profound.
Really appreciate that, RaMell, and everybody's time today.
No, it's a wonderful question.
Aunjanue, RaMell, Ethan, and Brandon, we thank you for your time today. Nickel
Gil,
Boys,
Gil, Gil,
yes, ma'am.
sorry. I have one more thing I want to say, please.
Absolutely.
Willie Atkins, Thomas Atkins, Joe Anderson, Walter Askew, James Brinson, Waldo Drew, Lloyd Dutton, Lois, Luis Fernandez, Hilton Finley, Walter Fisher, Edward Fonders, George Grissom, Louis Haffen, Shalay Hunter, Joshua James, Clifford Miller, Tillman Mohand, Richard Nelson, Fred Sams, Leonard Simmons, Wilbur Smith, Lee Underwood, Puna Warner, Harry Wells, Sim Williams, Arthur Williams, John H. Williams, Calvin Williams.
Mm.
These are the lists of some of the boys that went to Dozier School. On the same list, it has the parent or guardian, and several of the parents or guardians are listed as unknown.
Mm.
RaMell used the word earlier about this film possibly being a monument to these young boys, but I would like to think of it as a memorial for these young boys. You talked about reactions. I have been told that people have said that it is hard to watch. People have walked out because it is hard to watch. Someone has said to me, where is the hope in this? And I think that we have become accustomed, it's particularly in telling stories about Black pain, that we've become accustomed to the work being done within the film. We get our happy ending and we can go on about our lives. Nickel Boys isn't that. Nickel Boys does not have a happy ending because these boys never had a happy ending. And what it does is it tasks us to do that work. It democratizes the pain these young men felt. And the reason why I said the names of these children is because I never want us to lose sight of these. This is not a metaphor. These are children who went through this. And we are their hope. Now, what RaMell Ross has done is he has said, when we talk about Black stories, right, we need to tell our stories. I got a long text thread from a friend of mine who's telling me now after this election, it's going to be the artists who are going to save the world. And there are going to be a lot of people who are going to say that, right? We have to save the world. So there's going to be stories about, okay, what stories do we need to tell now? I'm going to be the first one to say, I'm going to tell my story about Fannie Lou Hamer. But what RaMell Ross is saying, it's not enough to tell those stories or tell the stories that we don't know. that it is in fact how we tell the stories that we need to confront. Because we have been injured and harmed and silenced in how we tell those stories. And I just think that is important to say that this film undoes that and forces us to be present in a way that traditional filmmaking, or filmmaking that we're used to about Black lives, it forces us to confront that and rethink that and be present and receive the pain of these Black children in a way that we're not used to. And I hope we'll be open to that. So thank you for letting me say that.